soon as, you know, the government admitted it, then it's just normal and who cares? And you don't need to look into it at all. Don't look into the fact that the world leaders are getting together at some sort of gay retreat to mock human sacrifice people to a ancient Canaanite death god. Don't look too much into that. It just happens. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't wonder if this affects the way they actually lead the world. Just know that it happens and accept it and move on.
But when one of them gets caught up in a sex scandal, it's a big deal. But when they all do it together,
it's totally fine.
And that's at the very beginning. They admit that that's real. They admit that the Bohemian Grove is real. They admit that MK Ultra is real. And then right after that breath, they then expect you to believe whatever they tell you.
Yeah, right. They have Operation Mockingbird.
Well, that just stands out to me. I mean, this whole chart should just say Operation Mockingbird
right,
is real.
exactly.
And you know, we made this chart because it's real. I mean, that Operation Mockingbird is the reason they're creating this chart.
Year is 2020. Following several decades of systematically weakening the social, moral, and financial resilience of the American people, the global cabal has launched a series of unimaginable terrors that have rocked the foundation of Western civilization and has fractured the population of a once united country along increasingly irreconcilable lines. The nation finds herself on the precipice of all-out civil war, diving headlong towards economic ruin and already suffocating under the dictatorship of biotechnocratic enslavement. The final takedown order has been issued. The direct attack has begun. America's greatest trial and the battle for her survival is underway. InfoWars emergency transmissions are now broadcasting live weeknights 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Election countdown, taking America back on band.video and Infowars.com. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the InfoWars 2020 election countdown. It is the 4th of October, the year 2020, 29 days until the election, less than a month. We have 1 February until the election. My name's Harrison Smith. Of course, to my right is John Bown, and to my left, Greg Reese, two of the most talented and really effective report makers here at InfoWars. And, you know, I try to make y'all both kind of have a similar style to your reports. You find sort of a headline, you do the deep dive, you do all the research, and you compact it into a very small, easy to understand, and yet intense and powerful segment, you know, usually under 5 minutes. I try to do that.
Sometimes that's difficult. Lately, I just did one that was 12 minutes, and I'm like, come on, man.
You got it. Well, that's my problem. I start trying to do something.
Sound bites out there.
Suddenly, I have a 3-hour-long thing that I'm trying to do. So, you know, people are always, how do you do a show for 3 hours? It's so much easier to sit up here and talk for 3 hours than it is to do the editing and the writing and the research and everything. So you can't underestimate the amount.
And you can't always spill it all out in 3 minutes, too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Condense everything, but it's like, oh man, I could go on for an hour about that.
Yeah, and that's I think the primary skill, one that I unfortunately lack. But luckily, we have 2 uninterrupted hours here with you tonight. And anyway, I just wanted to make it known just how much how hard these guys work and how hard it is what they do. And I've got a little activity for us in this first part. I'd like to hand out a little activity sheet. This is a image that's been going around on Twitter, and I think you guys will appreciate it. It is the conspiracy chart. And it really has been making its rounds. And I actually put this in the show folder, guys. It's the image conspiracy chart, so we can get a good look at it.
It's an PBS.
You know, I'm not sure who it's from.
The link up here says PBS.
I'm not sure what that. I think that might be an average thing, because I think this was just a user on Twitter. But it's an inverted pyramid, and you can see down here it has things that actually happened, and then it goes up, and we have questions, and it goes up higher to unequivocally false, but mostly harmless. Then we get to even more dangerous territory where it says dangerous to yourself and others. And then finally, at the very top rung here, the most dangerous, as they call it, detached from reality conspiracy theories are the world is ruled by supreme shadow elites, once you believe one, you most certainly believe everything else. So I thought this was hilarious and interesting. I thought you guys would get a kick out of this.
Adrenochrome. I mean, that's true. That's complete fact.
Oh, you could say that about pretty much everything on here, which is why it's so funny.
I'm giving them the shadow, a little bit of the doubt here, but some of these things at the very top are, I mean, George Soros. I mean,
You're right. Is he a conspiracy? What's the conspiracy? He doesn't exist?
no, he's not funding with, New York Times, he just gave another $100 million to the whole movement to destroy the United States. But,
Yeah.
Cultural Marxism, too, it says up on the top here.
Yeah, that also doesn't exist,
That
Greg.
doesn't
I'm not sure if
exist.
you're aware of that. It's not only does it not exist, it is beyond dangerous.
And
It
they
is,
wrote it small, too, which is clever.
yeah, just to slip it in there. It really is amazing. And really the amazing thing is, if we start off at the bottom here, these are the acceptable conspiracy theories. These are the things, as they say it, that actually happened. And they have things.
Mockingbirds on there.
Yeah, Operation Mockingbird, COINTELPRO, NSA mass surveillance, Tuskegee experiment, FBI spied on John Lennon, MK Ultra, and Bohemian Club. Which is so interesting.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, right. And isn't it funny that it's like, which is more like outrageous?
Most evil place I've ever experienced in my life.
I can only imagine.
You go there and you're like, this place is evil.
Right. And now sort of we all kind of know about it. I mean, I grew up, I remember watching the Alex Jones video of him breaking into the Bohemian Grove in middle school, right? Like we've watched this.
Can't believe he did that.
We know this happens, right? But it's crazy. If you actually think about what it is, that it's the world elite getting together in a secret grove to mock human sacrifice and worship a false demonic deity. That's insane. That's crazy. That's way crazier than a lot of this other
What's the
stuff.
reality of it?
Right.
We're talking about Bohemian Grove. What happens the rest of the year? It's a gay country club, is what it is.
Right.
That's what it is. And you go there, and there are all these street kids. When I was there, I wasn't there during their festivities.
Yeah, the cremation of care.
I was there just during a part of the year where nothing's going on, and you go down to the store, and there's a bunch of street kids down there, and they're being, and then there's all these rich guys walking around holding hands with them. I mean, there's things going on all year long there.
Yeah.
And you can feel, it's not that I went there and I'm PBS, that I'm some crazy conspiracy theorist. I had to go there, experience it for myself. You should go there, experience it for yourself, because you can feel it.
I was in Mount Rio. It would have been 2006, 2007, and I'd already been aware of Bohemian Grove from Alex Jones's video. I was there as a volunteer at a Tibetan Buddhist monastery not far from there, actually. And I went down there for the 4th of July to Mount Rio, went outside the gate of Bohemian Grove, went to the local stores, local bars. And absolutely, John, it was one of the strangest, most bizarre towns I've ever experienced. You could feel it through the whole town. You could see it in their faces that they've been basically preyed upon by powerful people for their generations.
We basically got run out of there. We got out of there with our lives. Fortunately, there was a back road out. But as Leanne McAdoo and myself were leaving, there was a stop. They were checking cars. They were looking for us because we were there looking around, snooping around. And so I don't, they're looking for us. And so we turned around and went out the back. But,
See now, and until you get the proof of it, until you get the video of it, until you can show people without any argumentation, look, here's what's happening. That's a crazy conspiracy theory. That's
right.
Untouchable. That would be way up here.
Now, I don't know absolutely they were looking for us, but if you're in that situation,
that's the feeling that you get. Yeah.
And when you're there, it feels like Newark at 3:30 in the morning. I dropped a guy off in Newark one time. He said, John, just when you leave, just keep driving. Go through all the red lights. And I was like, all right, whatever. Stopped at the first red light, and people just started coming out of nowhere, like Escape from New York, to attack the car. So I ran every red light I could. And that's the feeling you get.
Yeah, just a feeling of overwhelming danger.
Yeah.
But so it really is amazing. I mean, this whole chart, it's been making the rounds quite a bit, but it really is incredible, some of the choices that they've made, and it really kind of illustrates the normie mindset, you might say, when it has things like, here's the speculation line. Past this, it's okay to speculate. They'll give you permission to speculate a little bit about UFOs, or did the royal family kill Princess Diana, or the JFK assassination. It's the safe kind of realm that you can question things but still not be considered totally insane. But then they have this line, leaving reality. You're no longer in reality. And they have, again, it's sort of safe things. Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, aliens built Stonehenge. I mean, these are the inconsequential things, right? Nothing matters if you prove whether Bigfoot exists or not.
Elvis is everywhere. But why wouldn't Elvis Lives be up here and detached from reality? Come on.
You would think maybe some of these could be rearranged a little bit, but then they have science denial. That's the next level. The next level is science denial, which of course has things like anti-vaxxers, which I guess now Dr. Fauci is a part of this, Kamala Harris is a part of this, Joe Biden's even a part of this. Because they've come out and they said, we want to make sure this vaccine is safe and effective, which is the only thing that anti-vaxxers ever say. It's a public health concern to say we need to make sure that the vaccines that we're being forced are safe and effective. But,
jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Yeah, that is science denialism.
It doesn't.
It actually doesn't. It's the irony, almost overflows. Global warming hoax. They have chemtrails. And in fact, guys, do we have this video clip number 2?
Well, and the other thing is that people that read this and they're on the left and they're inflated egos, they look at this and they think about somebody like me that's in their family, and they just put all of this on us as if we believe all of this, and they just shake their heads like, oh my. And I could go through each one of these and give you enough factual information to support it, or to give you enough non-information to not support it. I mean, the fact that was the lizard people thing, that's only because the people we're dealing with that are so evil are so cold-hearted. It looks like they're lizard people. It's almost like it's a joke,
Oh yeah, but
David Icke would disagree with me, and he would give more proof on that matter. But and that's debatable. But that's the thing is, what, we're not allowed to think? We're not allowed to ask questions?
Right. And what's amazing is that like you said, the people that look at this chart and then feel this self-importance that, oh, now I know, now I have my chart.
Right, right.
And these are the same people that think they're intelligent and more intelligent than us.
We're going to have a talk with Johnny. We've got the chart.
Right. We got the chart
Right.
now. This explains everything. This reminds me also of shortly after Pizzagate, they came out with a fake news chart that was on all the mainstream medias, and it was also very colorful and organized. And they said, here, you can download this, and this will tell you how to distinguish if news is fake news or real news. And it was just as childish and retarded, but I had grown people in my family sending it to me and being like, here, this might straighten you out. This will tell you right here.
The New World Order is right there in the middle.
Isn't that amazing?
We could just sit here and play clip after clip after clip of people that are the establishment saying a new world order.
Oh yeah, over and over again. Heck, what is it? UNNWO.org? Is that the new website? Just came out at the very beginning of coronavirus.
There was an Illuminati.com or .org at some point too.
Yeah. Well, and also these are just words to describe sort of the general idea of a super elite.
Oh, there absolutely is an Illuminati.
Right.
I mean, there have been the Jacobin Revolution. I mean, we could sit here and bore you to tears about the different forms of the Illuminati. And of course, the name Illuminati comes from a certain point in time when that word got tossed around between a few organizations, but it's stuck. But, here we are going on 2021, and they're trying to tell us the Illuminati doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, and it is like you were pointing out that they have things like reptilian overlords or flat Earth are in the same group. They're just as dangerous and detached from reality as George Soros. I mean, are these things equivalent whatsoever? George Soros is a man who admits to what he's doing.
Some teenage intern at PBS who just heard about these things put this together.
And I just noticed that the top tier is the anti-Semitic point of no return.
Isn't that hilarious?
So it all comes down to anti-Semitism. You're just a horrible racist if you even look into any of these things.
Even though the only one that is remotely related to Jewish people or anti-Semitism at all would be the Elders of Zion. That's the only thing on here other than that, New World Order, Bill Gates microchipping, like he talks about that. I guess Holocaust denial, you could put that in there too. But for the vast majority of this, it has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. That's literally just conspiracies. And yet, yes, of course, these are the delusions that are beyond the anti-Semitic point of no return. Of course, QAnon has a very prominent space there. And then the deep state, you have the New York Times saying, yes, the deep state's real and it's a good thing and we love it. And it's, thank goodness it's there. And
well, we'll have to do, one of us is going to have to do a report on this and just
break it down.
And, start with QAnon or start from the bottom, work your way up.
Well, and that's one of the things, that's the type of report.
Tuskegee is on here.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right?
The FBI spied on John Lennon. Absolutely.
Yeah. And these are all things that would have been up here in the detached from reality thing until you get the proof. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, now it's acceptable. Now it's understood. In fact, it's good and necessary that these things are happening. And actually, I want to, one of the things that's up here, where is it? Okay, chemtrails. This is in the science denialism segment, second worst segment to be in the chemtrails. And I'd like to just go to this short clip of our very own leader of the CIA, John Brennan, describing chemtrails.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do.
Yeah.
I just had an idea. We could do an entire chart of our own of all the left's conspiracy theories.
That's a great idea.
You got Joy Reid here recently saying that Trump's faking it. You could have Trump faking it.
Yeah, the Russiagate conspiracy. I mean, you could fill up
Rachel
3 more charts
take
with that.
Up a whole space here.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do with this. You could just go through point by point and show how it's all true, which is a little bit what we're doing here. Yeah, you could make your own for the left. I mean, it's very illustrative.
How do these people think? You treat your kids like this, like your 5-year-old kid says, "Why is the sky blue?" And you have to come up with a good answer. It's got something to do with the spectrum and all, light rays and all that, and the horizon and all that stuff. But instead, these people would say, "Shut up, Johnny."
Yeah, I literally tweeted out yesterday. I say, the sky is blue. Liberals, what? You're just saying sunsets don't have the right to exist now? Yeah. You think that sunsets don't exist? You've never seen a sunset? It's like, no, there are truths that you can say.
Do not question the sky being blue.
Yeah, how dare you?
Well, I see this chart, and I also see the young 12-year-old me would have latched onto this and learned quite a bit in a short period of time, because I would have just started climbing my way up, looking into them one after the other. And so right now, people that have free-thinking minds are being given great opportunities to learn about everything that's going on. I mean, here it is right here and a piece of pie on a page.
Double-edged sword right here.
Anyone who's willing to take the time and investigate this is, because I mean, all the good stuff's here. Antifa starting the fires in California.
Of course, the arrest records, the local news reporting on this. But no, it's a conspiracy. It's beyond, it's detached from reality, and it's anti-Semitic. And then I love this one. They have celebs moisturize with children's foreskin. They say that...
I believe that's a fact.
It is absolutely a fact. In fact, we have the video of it. Guys, we have clip number 3 ready. All right, let's go now to clip number 3, which is apparently an anti-Semitic point of no return, detached from reality, conspiracy nonsense, according to this chart. And yet, here we have Sandra Bullock on The Ellen Show. Let's roll the tape.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin.
You can also hear how she's avoiding actually admitting what she's doing.
But then it pushes us.
She knows it's weird and wrong.
Sarah?
Carrie, what are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away. And they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
Ha 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 ha.
So that's detached from reality. You're not supposed to see that clip. You're not supposed to know about that clip. Apparently, the person putting this chart together couldn't search the term "celebs moisturize with children's foreskin" because it shows up on Google. It's the first result on YouTube if you search it as that clip. So it really is amazing that these are the charts that people are putting out, telling us we're detached from reality, telling us we don't know what we're talking about, telling us we're not allowed to talk about this stuff.
Well,
and yet it's all true.
The difference there is if we'd brought that up, and we're talking to Sandra Bullock, who she's welcome to come on the show. She probably has a house here still.
Yeah, I think she does.
And she brought that up, we would be angry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I that's not okay with me. But they're laughing about it in Hollywood because they're so damn important.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes to keep their importance afloat, you know?
But I mean, you can see in that
they
clip,
don't want to hear that.
in that
they don't
clip,
want to hear that.
she's sitting there going, "Oh well, it's a saying. It's like a body part from a da da da." It's like, okay, what you're doing is creepy and weird, and you're just going to try to laugh it off like it's no big deal. But you know deep down that this is very freaky. But they're trying to, but like everything in this, they try to ease the public into it to where it goes from that's a crazy conspiracy theory. No, that would never happen. To okay, it might happen here or there. To okay, it's actually good that it's happening, and that's the sort of trajectory of most conspiracies. But I thought that was very interesting.
Do you have to be to actually think that's all right?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone offered that to me, you know, to make me look better, which I need all the help I can get, I'd say I'll just stay ugly. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
these people are straight up trying to cling to their own life by using other people's lives, especially the lives of children. And that's one case. But I mean, if you look at stem cell research,
normalizing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and as if that's a good thing, as if that's somehow acceptable.
And it's literal vampirism. I mean, what you just said is
Yeah.
describing vampirism, living off the life force and the life of another to extend your own. So it's just very
you could do
interesting.
an entire report. It would probably take up 30 minutes of how children are being used in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it applies to a lot of this. But there you go. And also, for the record, Nazis on the moon, I hate to break it to you, Nazis got us to the moon. It was Operation Paperclip. It was, I mean, literally, it's not even, that's...
Well, it was Nazis, Freemasons, and Satanists.
Yeah, they got
all
us
working together.
They got us to the moon. So there you go. We could break, I mean...
Sounds weird, but yeah, that's...
I expect some very well-made John Bound and Greg Reese reports breaking down.
I'm dying to do a report on NASA. 'Cause, I mean, you could do a whole movie on just the creation of NASA. I mean, just that alone, that you got all the astronauts were 33-degree Freemasons, all the rocket scientists were Nazis, and then there was the Jack Parsons crew, which were all Satanists.
Oh, the Jack Parsons stuff is just fascinating.
It's
that
incredible.
Alone, just unbelievable. And then the amount of money they take in from the American taxpayer every year and produce what?
Look, you're sounding very anti-Semitic right now, according to this chart.
And I'm sorry all of these things are so interesting, but we're supposed to sit around and be bored by Joy Reid?
Yeah, you're supposed to. You should be punished for even thinking about these things.
Find out about Jack Parsons and Crowley witchcraft being involved in our space program. I'm sorry. It just interests me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is. No, it's incredibly interesting. And of course you can take this and it helps you understand where sort of normal people are, how they want to frame things, what they're afraid to look at and what they're not afraid to look at, and also how they take things out of context. For example, this one has essential oils cure all illnesses. Well, I'm not sure that is the claim. I mean, some people probably do make that claim, and clearly that's hyperbolic. That can't be true. It can't cure everything, just any essential oil.
See, I've never heard of that either. And I'm pretty sure Finland does exist.
That's actually one I think we could debate about. No, it's another kind of silly one. I don't know. It's, some of these are silly. Some of them are just nonsense. And then they have things like, the idea is that there are lots of natural things in our world that can help cure us, that do actually fight disease, and that you don't need pharmaceutical companies shooting chemicals into you to cure yourself. And somehow that becomes, oh, you think essential oils cure all illnesses? It's like, okay, where's the nuance here? Where's the intelligence discussion? They don't want that. They want to just throw it all out with the throw the baby out with the bathwater.
They're controlling that segment of the market.
Yeah.
There's somebody saying, yeah, we need to make that a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soy boys, come on.
Yeah, apparently that's a conspiracy
We're surrounded by them.
It's literally just a
There's an army of them wearing black right now destroying a Starbucks.
Yeah, they exist. Well, I don't know. That's not on here. Well, Antifa International starting wildfires, and they have Antifa International in air quotes as if it doesn't even exist. It really is absolutely incredible. All these things that they say just are absolutely untrue. George Soros, the deep state, the New World Order. Of course, Pizzagate is so fake that you can't talk about it. So that's the proof. That's all the proof you need right there. So there you go. The conspiracy chart. You're all crazy, but you can still ask whether Roswell happened, whether Area 51 contains things, and of course, it's perfectly acceptable to speculate about things that have already come out, and the documentation is all there. Even though they were wild conspiracy theories for decades, as soon as the government admitted it, then it's just normal, and who cares? And you don't need to look into it at all. Don't look into the fact that the world leaders are getting together at some sort of gay retreat to mock human sacrifice people to a ancient Canaanite death god. Don't look too much into that. It just happens. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't wonder if this affects the way they actually lead the world. Just know that it happens and accept it and move on.
But when one of them gets caught up in a sex scandal, it's a big deal. But when they all do it together,
it's totally fine.
And that's at the very beginning. They admit that that's real. They admit that the Bohemian Grove is real. They admit that MK Ultra is real. And then right after that breath, they then expect you to believe whatever they tell you.
Yeah, right. They have Operation Mockingbird.
Well, that just stands out to me. I mean, this whole chart should just say Operation Mockingbird is real, and we made this chart because it's real. I mean, that Operation Mockingbird is the reason they're creating this chart. Because the Operation Mockingbird. If you ask a real journalist, anybody from back in the day, reported back in the 70s, whether they're on the left or the right, they're going to say to you, yeah. It's true. I mean, all of that happened.
Of course it was. It never stopped.
And these people aren't, I know a lot of these people, and they're not necessarily low IQ, stupid people, but these are people that somehow think that the intelligent thing to do is to find out whoever the official expert is and just parrot what they say. And these are the same people that talk about science denial, but real science, if you were to do real science for this chart, you would have to go over everything on your own and do the research, and it takes a lot of time, and people don't want to do that. But these people have been somehow fooled into thinking that just having faith in pop culture celebrities makes you smart.
Yeah.
And they're proud of it. They're proud of how smart they are.
Well, at the very top, it should say in real big letters, being brainwashed by a conspiracy chart made by PBS.
Right. You never believe it. But, one of the things they have, global warming hoax. Again, it's just this way of saying, if you don't believe exactly what we believe, then you're a conspiracy theorist. You can't be trusted. You deny science. And it's like, look, I can look at the evidence that you present to me, and I can say, okay, maybe it does look like the temperatures are going up. We can look at causes that might be, contributing to that. We can even look at solutions as to what we think might help combat the trend. But they aren't interested in that. What they say is global warming is real. Climate change is real. It's 100% caused by human activity. And so we must tax carbon. Essentially, the answer is socialism. So if you go, well, now wait, I don't want to bring in socialism. That
the ice
doesn't
caps
sound
are
right.
expanding. No, shut up.
Yeah, shut up. That doesn't happen. So it's this way of just boiling everything down into a very simple, sort of easy to understand soundbite that says you either agree with this or you are a crazy conspiracy theorist, science denying anti-Semite. It's really incredible.
Well, it's a real mess.
Yeah, it's real bad.
They could have done a lot better with this, but I think it's a great idea to put together. And I'll put it together, something that's similar, but it's the left's conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that'd be great. And talk about being detached from reality. Can you imagine being more detached from reality than thinking that George Soros is not manipulating things with his money? I mean, just read the New York Times. They brag about it. It really is incredible. And, honestly, it shows sort of the effect, one of the many effects that InfoWars has had. That's to bring a lot of this to light. I mean, Bohemian Grove is down here. It's the lowest one. It's one of the things that they say actually happened. Well, that's because Alex Jones went there and exposed it, and it's undeniable because he has the video of it. So a lot of this stuff will actually start to move down this list as more information comes out, as people are allowed to think for themselves, as places like InfoWars continue to push the truth through the shield of lies that are erected around it. More and more people will start to understand that the stuff at the top that we're told is anti-Semitic and dangerous, and science denial is in fact perfectly true.
And why is Ancient Aliens so popular? It's a popular show because they're constantly asking these questions.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe it. You can snicker at what they're saying. You know, you can question what they're saying.
That's one of the things.
But it's interesting.
But that's one of the things I always point out, where they're like, InfoWars gets kicked off because it's not true. It's like, well, Ancient Aliens is like the most popular show on History Channel, and it's all false. So it's not about being true or not. It's about what's dangerous to the ruling elites. It's about what's dangerous to the New World Order. That gets you shut down. You can lie and obfuscate all you want as long as you're on their side.
Well, that helps their narrative.
All right, welcome back, folks. It's the 2020 election countdown here on Infowars.com. It's a song I stumbled on recently. It's It's Marty Robbins singing about communists, and I think that song is from, gosh, the 70s, I believe, and or maybe even earlier, maybe even the 60s or earlier than that. But he's singing about communists, and you just come to town and cause strife and cause everybody trouble, and then say that you're helping them. And it's just amazing that we've been in this struggle for so long, and that that song that came out 50 or more years ago is basically talking about exactly what's going on now. We truly have been infiltrated by a communist subversive undercurrent that is now really making itself known and becoming more aggressive. 1966, I just heard. So even later, or even earlier than I thought. Yeah, so since 1966, they at least were making songs about it. They at least knew what was happening and were trying to fight back against it.
Oh, they knew they were fighting it. I mean, it's a pernicious disease that's been trying to get its foothold in for a long time. But
it's been happening for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We grew up in the 70s. I remember growing up in the 70s being conditioned to think that like the 50s were some type of horrible era of oppressiveness, and how communism's, the whole idea of communist threats just a joke, and
Joseph McCarthy was just a fascist out for blood.
Well, Eisenhower had a bunch of laws passed that, and I'd really like to get a lawyer to take a look at these laws, because I wonder if we can actually still use them.
Yeah.
And, these laws determine that these communists have their rights stripped. And, I mean, you go against our government and you're seditious, you should pay the price.
Right. And it's not about free speech. It's like, no, you want to take the free speech from everybody, so we're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you, and there it is, the Communist Control Act of 1954.
That's it.
Yeah, we're not going to let you try to tear down this incredible free speech, free society that we have.
I brought that act down to an Antifa rally, and I actually made copies and started passing it out to people. I said, and I handed it to the police. I said, you can arrest them all right now and take them all away according to this. They don't have, they're not, their First Amendment isn't protected. They're here. They're literally out there now saying the same thing that Iran is saying.
Yeah.
So and everyone's throwing their hands up. Why are we allowing this to happen?
Yeah. And you look at Joseph McCarthy, he caught a bunch of people. There were people high up in our government that were communist agitators that were caught and exposed by that. And of course, Richard Nixon as well, which goes into why he was destroyed.
That was executed.
Yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, that's just a fun little music interlude there at the beginning of this second segment of the 2020 election countdown. There are 29 days until the election. Of course, Donald Trump being sick with coronavirus is the top story across the board. And in fact, Donald Trump has made some moves. He has left the room of that he was sort of quarantined and sequestered in. There at the military hospital. And he actually came out with this video. This came out probably about an hour ago, and it's the most recent video from President Trump. It's clip number 4, and I want to go to this now. This is just a nice little pick-me-up from President Trump to let us all know he's feeling fine.
We're getting great reports from the doctors. This is an incredible hospital, Walter Reed. The work they do is just absolutely amazing, and I want to thank them all. The nurses, the doctors, everybody here. I've also gotten to meet some of the soldiers and the first responders, and what a group. I also think we're going to pay a little surprise to some of the great patriots that we have out on the street, and they've been out there for a long time, and they've got Trump flags, and they love our country. So I'm not telling anybody but you, but I'm about to make a little surprise visit. So perhaps I'll get there before you get to see me. But I just, when I look at the enthusiasm, and we have enthusiasm like probably nobody's ever had. Our people that love the job we're doing, we have more enthusiasm than maybe anybody. So it's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it. And it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it. In the meantime, we love the USA, and we love what's happening. Thank you.
So there you go. That's President Trump releasing a statement about an hour ago.
He looks good.
He looks much better. He's uplifting. He's energetic again. And yeah, there you go. There's the video of him actually passing by the supporters. He did a little drive-by wave. You can see him waving and smiling through the window there of the motorcade.
And that's interesting what he said about how he went to school.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he comes out of this, we're going to look later into this week, and hopefully everything's going to be all right after this experimental treatment. And he's okay. And then once he gets into that next debate with Biden, he's been totally schooled now. He's going to be able to really
they're not going to be able to tell him he doesn't know about it. And of course, the last video he released from inside the hospital, he looked very dour. He looked very gray and kind of skinny. And I think, Greg, maybe you pointed out on Twitter that it was just the lighting that people don't understand. Maybe it was you. I thought maybe it was one of you talking about how people don't understand what the effect lighting has on people, lighting and makeup, because people were putting up the image of him at the debate and him in the hospital, and you can see he's markedly more pale. And
do you think, though, if Biden had gotten that, do you think he'd be sitting there be tweeting it out immediately to let us all know?
Yeah.
Do you think he would make a video? Do you think he'd drive by? Do you think he'd make that video that we just watched? No.
No, we'd have no idea. He could very well have COVID, and there'd be no way of us knowing.
He's got a lot worse than COVID.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The good news about this is if the president can safely get the hell out of that hospital and back in the White House, then and officially recover. I don't even really believe there is any such thing as COVID. But if he manages to do that, then now he has fallen victim to the COVID. He's recovered from the COVID. This is going to give him more support and more leverage. And hopefully he can then start addressing the whole hoax at some point. But
we got to keep praying, though. We're not out of the woods yet.
No, we're not at all.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, he's still in the control of these doctors that are giving him, as they put it, a cocktail of experimental treatments. So that's always a little bit worrying. But he looks like he's better. He sounds like he's better. And he's out there at least showing support to the people that have been out in front of that hospital, showing him support for so long. I mean, there were more people just crowded around the hospital gate than have been to a Biden event all year, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Well, there was a picture of a Biden event, either it was from today or yesterday, and it was just pitiful.
Yeah, pitiful, absolutely. And I think he called another lid at 9 a.m. this morning.
yeah, called a lid. So that's the 11th lid this month. Let's call it a lid.
Yeah. No need to talk about anything.
Grandpa's got to go back to sleep.
And half of these losers know that they're voting for a dead man. They know they're voting for Kamala Harris. That's how, I mean, these people shouldn't even be allowed to vote. That's insane.
They have to know, maybe they don't, but some of them know they're voting for their own demise.
Yes.
Their own destruction.
Yeah, and they want it. I think that's what we're left with. It is a spiritual battle. And because
you got to be in love with hating.
Yeah.
You got to be in love with destruction, even killing yourself and your country and your family and everything.
The people we see burning the cities down in the whole BLM Antifa, these people desperately want to be punished. I would say they're masochists. They're miserable. They hate themselves and they hate everything around them. And they're just begging for someone to come in.
They're unhappy. Yeah. They're unhappy. The suicide rate is just off the charts. People aren't engaging with each other. There are people that just don't have the romantic relationships. They don't have the fraternal relationships that we had. Everyone's just in their own little shell.
Which is why it's so important to get involved as much as you can right now, because if I can't imagine if I didn't have this job, if I didn't have the time and the platform to be able to put my energy out and serve this fight, I'd be going crazy. I'd be struggling with depression a great deal myself right now.
Sure.
Just watching it all go down. You have to get involved. And the beautiful thing is once you do get involved, you'll find that this is what life is all about. As crazy as things are now, the past few years have been the best years of my life, just simply because I feel honored and grateful every day to be able to speak the voice of our audience and to have an effect, which we certainly have had.
Yeah, it's amazing when the politicians or the anchors, they always refer to the American people as if they know what they want. And I'm not saying that I speak for all of the American people like they do, but I can say that there's a segment of the population that I do speak for, and I'm not going by this chart either. For the most part, what I report on, what you report on, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's like you look at something that just happened, and you're like, well, what did they miss?
Right.
And I'm not going to fantasize about what they missed. I'm going to find what they missed, and I'm going to tell the people what they missed.
Yeah, so much of it is just obfuscation, right? They can't totally hide everything anymore, so they have to come out and try to throw a bunch of falsehoods surrounding the truth, and so people get confused and don't understand and suddenly think, saying George Soros is spending money to bring down the country, which is objectively true and of his own admission, is equivalent to believing that there are reptilians in human skin in the Houses of Parliament.
And each one of us gets attacked by that machine out there. I know you've been thrown off, things you've been thrown off. And from the beginning, I've been here 10 years and was one of the first people to start doing special reports on a regular basis. And in the beginning, they were incredibly popular. They're on YouTube. Some of my reports would get 1 million views in a couple of days. I used to time my watch by 60,000 views within 5 minutes, and now they've just come after me in every angle they can, and whittled me down to nothing. And I have my own channel, John Bound Reports. I can't get beyond 1,000 views, 1,000 subscribers. They've just put me in this digital ghetto.
It's incredible to picture the contrast between where InfoWars was 4 years ago, right on the cusp of the election of President Trump, the dominance, the YouTube presence, the meme presence. I mean, the power that InfoWars had at that point, and then look at where we are today. I wasn't even here during the 2016 election. I joined early in 2017, immediately after the inauguration, and I remember exactly the same thing, uploading a video to YouTube and just sitting there watching it go up by tens of thousands of views per minute. And it was just incredible. And
we just keep on going, doing what we're doing until the wheels come off. But, you take a step back, and what they've done to us is completely criminal, completely, and if we do get through this thing, I would hope there'd be something on the other end of it where we get our say finally, because you can bring all of the evidence into court and look at our reports. And the jury's going to have a really hard time saying, well, that's not, actually, those are all facts.
Yeah.
Play another one? Oh, but
all that's true.
That's all true.
And then, of course, on the other side, you have tons of people who say all sorts of nonsense. They actually do lie. They actually do say falsehoods. And yet they don't get kicked off. So it's not about that. It's literally been a political prosecution. And just over the 4 years that I've worked here, I've seen our presence just whittled away. Our ability to reach people has been utterly destroyed. And the fact that we're not only still here, we have this amazing new studio. We have, a whole other new studio. I mean, the advances that InfoWars has made, the fact that not only are we still here, we're still growing, just redid the website. The website looks awesome now. It's totally modern and sleek and amazing. Yep. And how much work that takes. I mean, that is a huge, huge effort that's been going on behind the scenes for months. That's finally been unveiled. And it really is incredible. And so it's like you on one side see the amount of damage that they've been able to do, that we've had to sustain, the amount of hate and destruction and lies that has been wielded against us. But then on the other side, you see, man, not only are we still here, we're still growing, we still have a massive audience, we still get phone calls from people saying, I just heard about you and it's blown my mind. I'm telling everybody that I know. So it's like, it's this weird sort of dichotomy of anger and frustration at what they've done to us, and yet hope and resolution that we're not dead yet, and it doesn't matter what. I mean, they've thrown everything at us. They've thrown the book at us, and yet we're still here. And yes, that is because of the info warriors out there.
Thought that bubbled up was we really hold back. We know we have the power to reach people out there to incite some kind of action, and we don't do that. We hold back. But you turn on Don Lemon. I mean, that guy, he's coaching everybody out there.
Well, that's a good point.
To divide and conquer.
And I've been, I'll be honest, I've been, my anger and emotions have been quite heightened over the past several months.
Right. As we all have, I think.
And, you know, there's so many times, you know, social media is sort of my personal thing. It's not officially now a work thing, but I am, you know, associated with InfoWars. I can't tell you how many times I've had to back up and not post something or delete something just because, you know, I'm grateful that there are calmer minds, more balanced minds in charge, hopefully, than myself, because it's been difficult. It's been difficult to not incite anything, but you're right. It's our responsibility. That's not our job. Our job is simply to ask questions, to show what we think is going on from our perspective and our research, and to let people decide for themselves.
Well, look at the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally not a white supremacist organization, but you ask, you know, over 50% of people out there right now, what do you think of the Proud? Oh yeah, they're like the Klan.
Yeah.
They're not.
Well, and it's you know, it's one of these things where I totally agree, where, you know, sit there typing, you're like, sorry, I'm going to kill them all. No, I can't send that. I just can't say that. But, you know, you have to kind of recenter yourself and go, no, they're trying to make me mad. They're trying to make me racist. They're trying to make me whatever this is.
Yeah.
And I can't fall into this left and right paradigm, because that's not the real paradigm. That's the false paradigm that they've put on top of us, that they're telling us, hey, you're either a white supremacist or a black supremacist, and you have to choose. And it's like, well, then I'm going to choose. And it's like, wait, no, they're trying to force you into something. You got to back up and recenter yourself. And of course, you know, I was watching you guys with Alex.
Well, but there's a William Wallace in all of us, and
absolutely.
At some point, that's going to come out, and it's inevitable.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. And you know, I'm not telling anybody. I'm just saying this country was built on revolutionary spirit, and you know, the moron. It's like the stupid kid who's so egotistical he goes out into recess and starts bullying, you know, the biggest kid, nicest kid out there, who, you know, takes kendo and jujitsu, right. And it has the patience to just, and then eventually it's just going to become such a problem that kid's just going to be flicked off like a gnat.
Yeah, well, that's what I always say, the Chihuahua versus the pit bull. That's what I always see, because in these people's minds, I mean, they're the Chihuahuas. They would be destroyed if there was actual combat, but since they can yap and bite and growl, and the pit bull doesn't do anything back, they actually think they're stronger. They actually think they're the bigger dog. And it's you know, literally their own.
You have that black
mind.
Separatist group out there constantly accidentally shooting themselves.
Yeah,
they're all walking around with guns. I think another one happened yesterday.
Yeah, in Lafayette, Louisiana, the NFAC, the Not Effing Around crew.
Yeah,
it should be called the Always Effing Around crews. Yeah, they literally are constantly shooting themselves by accident. It's kind of sad, but yeah, it's about not letting them force you into that dichotomy that they're trying to set up of you know, parts of humanity versus other parts of humanity. The reality is it should be all of humanity coming together, every race, color, and creed.
And it is.
To stand for themselves.
It is. There's people of all, you know, whatever, across this country, and they're never going to be turned. They're always going to be American. They're looking at me right now and they're going, yep, John, we're with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And that's, you know, and I mean, then you've got all the people in this country that are a byproduct of this country. I'm part Filipino and English and Irish. I mean, you know, what am I? Am I English, Irish, Filipino, American? Am I supposed to identify myself as that every time you see me? You know?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm an American.
Yeah, it's one of the most destructive things they've been able to wield against us is turning the fact that we are a society that is diverse, that has these multi-ethnic kind of components of us. The idea is that you shed those to become American. You shed those to embrace the idea of liberty and self-reliance and independence. And yet it's that strength that got us to where we are now, that now they're using in order to try to fraction us.
We also used to have a sense of humor. You know, I'm trying to remain serious, but I just bring this point up. That sense of humor has just been destroyed.
Yeah. Humor now is just like mean, like it actually is like kind of vicious if it's going to be.
You can't laugh at it.
Yeah. It's totally brutal.
The Richard Pryor would never exist, right?
No, of course not. And even, or George Carlin or any of these guys. But it was one of the things you guys were talking about with Alex, which was the Christianity aspect to it. And, you know, I was kind of inspired by one of your tweets yesterday saying we need a Christian revolution, because the fact is that there are only two factions in the world that you really need to worry about. It's Christ and the Antichrist. And again, as you guys were pointing out, you don't have to actually be religious. You don't have to go to church or anything, but you have to recognize that and it's not just evil and good, because that can be kind of, you can debate what's evil and what's good. What's evil to me, but it's good to him. But when you have this very simple dichotomy of the Christ-like people who are forgiving and loving and self-sacrificing versus the Antichrist, which is selfish and controlling and hateful and weak. And to me, that's the only division that there is. It's Christ versus the Antichrist. What are y'all's opinions on that?
It's amazing that the Antichrist is weak, but thinks they're powerful. You know, as a Christ mind, Christ didn't want any help. You know, he called out to God at the very end and asked to forgive their sins. They know not what they do. That's the Christ mind. Whereas the Antichrist mind is, I'm a victim. Why'd you put me, why have you tortured me? Why, you tortured me with your words.
Yeah, torture them instead. They should be tortured because they tortured me. And
a lot of us are, it's a scale where some of us are more towards this and some of us more towards that. But the closer you go to a Christ mind, the more awake and attuned you're going to be with the facts and the truth, as weird as they may be.
Yeah. And the fact is, the only way to fight the Antichrist is with Christ, right? You can't fight the Antichrist by lying and scheming better than them. Every time you lie or scheme or kill, you're actually aiding and abetting them, whether you think you're fighting against them or not, which is one of the things that I sort of latch onto when you're kind of falling into this panic mindset of what's going on. You're like, oh my God, we have to do extreme thing. It's like, no, wait, hold on. Then I'm just feeding into it. Then I'm just actually falling into their trap, when really the only way to fight against hate is with love. And so that's what we have to embrace.
And we have all the empirical data that we need that shows that building a society based on Christian values is extremely effective. If you go back in history and you compare Western governments that were built upon Christian ideals and you compare them to, say, governments that were built upon Muslim ideals,
or even just earthly ideals.
Earthly ideas. But all the data is there. All the information's there. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't even sit down with an atheist and just explain logically and rationally why it's a smart idea to build things back up with Christian values. Because it makes things good. It makes things nice. It makes things, it allows a society where people can actually enjoy their lives and pursue happiness and feel safe in the streets. I mean, there's nothing, it's a no-brainer. And it's the only, I've studied many different religions. I'm very open to many religions, but I don't think I found anything other than Christianity that teaches how to fight against evil and teaches you how to be wary of evil, be as wise as serpents and gentle as sheep.
Well,
I mean, it puts it all there.
Something Alex always brings up is he gets connected. And that's what love does. It's not just about, whatever your small-mindedness about what you think love is. Love is huge.
It's the force.
It's the force. It is the force. And if you're willing to connect yourself to that and just let go of your self-importance, you don't have to destroy your ego. You don't have to lose your self-esteem. But if you're willing to let go of your hang-ups and look around you and go, I love these guys. I love those people back there. I care about these people. I care about everybody. I come. That's the American spirit.
And
yeah, we've been through hell and we've done some horrible things to each other. But, I'll be 50 next year. I was born in 1971. Our schooling, I went to school in Washington, D.C. with kids of all races. I didn't know them by their color. I didn't know this crap until you all brought it up. I knew them by their personalities.
Right. Well, and even now, you can look at the headlines, you see hate and division and races against races and religions against religion. And then you go out and you hang out at the park or you go to Best Buy to buy something. You're talking about video games with some dude you've never met before, and yet you're all on the same line. You're all Americans together. It's not real. The division is not real. It's all fabricated. It's all on purpose. And the only way you can fight that is not saying, well, we'll divide in a different way. It's by saying, don't do that. You got to come together with love. And that's the only possibility. Man, this hour has flown by. Thank you so much to John Bound and Greg Reese. Of course, you can find all of their videos at band.video and infowars.com. They're going to head out, and I'm going to take your calls in the next.
It's finally here. Introducing the new Survival Shield X2 spray. Available now for 33% off at InfoWarsStore.com. Listeners have been asking us for months to develop an iodine spray made with our exclusive Deep Earth Crystal Nascent Iodine. Our proprietary new Aerodyne technology allows us to harness the full power of ancient iodine crystals from 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface into the ultimate spray formula. Iodine is an essential mineral that helps support thyroid health, healthy metabolism, and healthy cognitive function. Get the new Survival Shield X2 spray for 33% off intro pricing at InfoWarsStore.com. That's Survival Shield X2 spray at InfoWarsStore.com.
We need to get back to the land, back to self-sufficiency, and back to being prepared. And the way to start, ladies and gentlemen, is having friends and family with a bug-out plan if there is a total collapse, and water filtration, and food to last you at least a few months. And the food we have is very high quality. It's in great containers that are great to be mobile. They have wide selection, special diets, you name it. It's the best price you're gonna find, but you need to get the orders in now in the lull before the storm. I told you lockdown 2 was coming. The New World Order is making its move. Whether Trump loses or wins, things are just gonna get more crazy, and this food lasts 25 years inside the containers. So it's something you can hide, something you can bury, something you know is an ace in the hole for you and your family in the future. And the little bit of profit that comes in funds the InfoWar to continue to warn the people. So you're also funding InfoWars, the most powerful Paul Revere organization in the world, because it's powered by you.